The phone screen glowed in the darkness, and Simone's hands shook so badly she almost dropped it. She sat frozen on the bathroom floor at 2:47 a.m., reading words that turned her blood to ice. Trevor's text to Chloe sent 3 hours ago. The break line plan is too risky. Someone might notice. The stairs are better. I'll make sure she's carrying laundry down to the basement. One push. Head injury. Tragic accident. Insurance pays out in 30 days. Then we're free, baby. Barbados by spring. Chloe's response, are you sure you can do it? What if someone suspects? Trevor, I've been setting it up for months. Everyone knows she's clumsy. I've been mentioning it to neighbors, her doctor, everyone. Plus the wine I've been giving her every night makes her unsteady. It's perfect. The policy is $2 million now. We split it and disappear. No more sneaking around. No more pretending with her. Simone pressed her hand against her mouth to keep from screaming. This couldn't be real. But she kept scrolling, finding message after message, going back weeks. Months. They'd been planning this. Planning to kill her. Trevor, her husband of 8 years, was planning to murder her for insurance money. Her whole body went numb. She'd only checked his phone because he'd been distant lately, coming home late, always texting. She thought maybe an affair. She could handle an affair. Divorce, move on, rebuild. But this was something else entirely. Chloe, what about her family? Won't they ask questions? Trevor, what family? I made sure she barely talks to them anymore. Remember how I said her sister was toxic? Her mom too controlling? She hasn't seen them in over a year. When she dies, I'll play the grieving husband perfectly. No one will suspect a thing. Simone felt sick. He was right. She hadn't seen her sister Nicole in 14 months. Her mother lived 3 states away, and their calls had become rare, strained. Trevor had slowly, carefully cut every cord that connected her to the outside world. And she'd let him. She'd believed him when he said her family didn't understand their relationship, that they were jealous of their happiness. She scrolled further back. The messages detailed everything. How Trevor had been drugging her wine to make her sleepy and uncoordinated. How he'd already increased her life insurance policy twice in the past year, forging her signature. How Chloe, his co-worker from the marketing firm, had been his girlfriend for 2 years. 2 whole years of lies. Trevor, tomorrow I'm taking her car to Mike's shop. He owes me a favor. He'll say the brakes need work but won't fix them properly. Then I'll suggest she drive to her doctor appointment across town. The route has that steep hill. If the basement thing doesn't work first, the car will. The bathroom tiles felt cold against Simone's skin. She was sitting on the floor of a house that had become her prison, reading her own death sentence written by the man sleeping peacefully in their bed. She looked up at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Simone Jackson, 32 years old, beautiful even at 3 in the morning with tears streaming down her face. She'd been a marketing coordinator when she met Trevor. Smart, independent, ambitious. How had she become this? A woman so isolated that her own husband believed he could kill her and no one would care enough to question it? Chloe, I love you so much. I can't wait until we can be together for real. No more hiding. Trevor, soon baby. Very soon. She suspects nothing. She's so trusting it's almost sad. This will all be over within the next 2 weeks. I promise. 2 weeks. Simone had 2 weeks to live unless she did something. Her mind raced. She couldn't confront him. That would be suicide. He'd just move up his timeline or worse do it right now. She couldn't run without a plan. She had no money of her own. Trevor controlled all their finances. He gave her a small allowance for groceries and personal items, but everything else went through him. She didn't even know how much money they had. She carefully scrolled through more messages, her marketing background kicking in as she started to think strategically. Evidence. She needed evidence. Not just of the affair but of the murder plot, the financial control, everything. With shaking fingers, she opened Trevor's photo gallery. Bank statements. Screenshots of accounts she'd never heard of. Emails to insurance companies. Photos of Chloe. Documents with Simone's forged signature. He'd kept it all on his phone, probably because he never thought she'd look. Simone's fear began to shift into something else. Rage. Cold, calculating rage. This man had taken 8 years of her life. He'd isolated her, controlled her, and now planned to kill her. And for what? Money? Another woman? A fresh start built on her corpse? She heard Trevor shift in bed and her heart stopped. She quickly closed all the apps, placed his phone back on the charger exactly where he'd left it, and slipped back into bed beside him. Her husband. Her would-be murderer. She lay there in the darkness, feeling his warmth next to her, and fought the urge to run screaming from the room. Instead, she did what she'd always done. She stayed quiet. She stayed still. But for the first time in years, Simone Jackson was planning something of her own. Trevor wanted her dead in 2 weeks? She'd make sure the next 2 weeks destroyed him instead. Simone stared at her breakfast plate, pushing scrambled eggs around while Trevor read the newspaper across from her. The morning sun streamed through their kitchen windows, making everything look warm and perfect. The granite countertops gleamed. Fresh flowers sat in a crystal vase. Their house in the suburbs looked like something from a magazine. But Simone saw it differently now. This wasn't a home. It was a cage with expensive furniture. "You seem quiet this morning," Trevor said, not looking up from his paper. "Everything okay?" "Just tired," Simone replied, keeping her voice steady. "Didn't sleep well. You should take it easy today. Maybe skip your walk. You've seemed off balance lately." There it was. The subtle suggestion that she was weak, unsteady, fragile. Simone realized he'd been doing this for months, maybe years. Planting seeds in her mind and everyone else's that she was somehow less capable than she actually was. After Trevor left for work, Simone sat in the silence of their house and forced herself to remember. To really look at how she'd gotten here. 8 years ago she'd been different. Simone had worked at a tech startup as a marketing coordinator, making decent money, living in a small apartment with her best friend Rachel. She'd been ambitious, planning to get her MBA, dreaming of running her own agency someday. She'd had friends, hobbies, a life that belonged entirely to her. Then she met Trevor at a networking event. Tall, handsome, charming Trevor with his easy smile and perfect manners. He'd pursued her intensely, showing up at her office with flowers, taking her to expensive restaurants, making her feel special. Within 6 months they were engaged. Within a year married. "You don't need to work so hard anymore," he'd said after the wedding. "My salary can support us both. Why don't you take some time off? Relax. Figure out what you really want to do." It had seemed romantic at the time. Generous. She'd been tired from the startup's demanding hours. Taking a break sounded wonderful. She'd quit her job, planning to freelance to build her own client base. But Trevor had opinions about her freelance work. "That client seems demanding. Are they paying you enough for all that stress? Maybe you should drop them. Or you're working so hard on this project. Is it really worth it? Come spend time with me instead." Slowly her client list shrank. Her confidence wavered. Trevor was always there with suggestions, concerns, reasons why she should do less, want less, be less. Then came the isolation from her family. It started small. "Your sister Nicole is so negative," Trevor would say after family dinners. "Did you hear how she criticized our house? She's jealous, Simone. It's toxic. Your mom asked about money again. She's always trying to get involved in our finances. That's our private business." He never forbade her from seeing them. That would have been too obvious. Instead, he made every interaction painful. He'd sulk for days after she visited her mother. He'd pick fights before family gatherings until she was too exhausted to go. He'd schedule important plans that conflicted with family events. Slowly, Simone's calls to her sister became less frequent. Visits to her mother dropped from monthly to quarterly to almost never. The guilt ate at her, but Trevor was always there, whispering that her family didn't understand them, didn't support their marriage, caused unnecessary stress. Her friends disappeared the same way. Rachel, her former roommate, stopped calling after Trevor made several uncomfortable comments about her lifestyle. Her college friends faded when Trevor always had a reason they couldn't attend gatherings. Her work friends vanished when she stopped working. Within 3 years of marriage, Simone's world had shrunk to the walls of their beautiful house and the boundaries of Trevor's approval. The financial control had been even more subtle. Trevor handled all their money. At first, this seemed practical. He was good with finances, organized, responsible. He set up accounts, paid bills, managed investments. Simone had access to their joint checking account, but Trevor encouraged her to use the credit card he gave her instead. "It's easier to track expenses this way," he'd explained. "Plus you get rewards points." She hadn't realized the credit card was in his name only, that he reviewed every purchase, that he'd slowly reduced what he considered reasonable spending. $500 at the bookstore? He'd questioned once. "That seems excessive, don't you think?" She'd felt embarrassed, guilty for spending their money frivolously. She started asking permission for larger purchases, then smaller ones, until she felt like a child requesting allowance. She tried to get a job again 2 years ago. The isolation was suffocating and she missed having her own money, her own purpose. She'd updated her resume, started applying. Trevor had seemed supportive at first. But every opportunity she found had problems. That company has terrible reviews. You'd be miserable. Or that commute is too far. You'd be exhausted. Or, the salary is insulting. You're worth more than that. Eventually she'd stopped looking. Trevor's disappointment in her choices hurt more than the unemployment. Looking back now with clear eyes, Simone saw the pattern. Every decision that would have given her independence, Trevor had undermined. Every relationship that could have offered her support, he'd poisoned. Every opportunity for growth, he'd discouraged. He'd been building a prison around her for years, making sure that when the time came to kill her, she'd be completely alone. No one to notice. No one to question. No one to care. Except he'd made one mistake. He'd underestimated her. Yes, Simone had let herself become small. She'd believed his lies about her family, about her capabilities, about her worth. But underneath all that conditioning, somewhere deep inside, the woman who'd once dreamed of running her own agency still existed. And that woman was about to fight back. Simone stood up from the breakfast table and walked to the window. She looked out at the suburban street, at the neighbors who probably thought she had such a perfect life. The perfect house. The perfect husband. The perfect marriage. None of them knew she was a dead woman walking. But she wasn't going to be a victim. Not anymore. Trevor had spent years planning her death. Now Simone would spend every remaining day planning his downfall. Simone waited until Trevor's car disappeared down the street before moving. She'd practiced acting normal all morning, playing the role of the trusting wife one more time. But the moment she was alone, everything changed. She grabbed her laptop and Trevor's tablet from his home office. He never locked them, never suspected she'd look. Why would he? He'd trained her so well to stay in her lane, to respect his privacy, to never question. Those days were over. The tablet opened to his email. Simone's hands were steadier now than they'd been last night. Fear had transformed into focus. She started with his sent folder, searching for anything related to Chloe, insurance or finances. What she found made her stomach turn. Emails to Liberty Life Insurance, increasing her policy from $500,000 to $2 million. The signature at the bottom of the scanned documents looked like hers, but Simone knew she'd never sign them. Trevor had practiced her signature. The forged name appeared on 3 separate policy increases over 18 months. More emails to Chloe under the contact name, Mike Peterson. Trevor had been smart enough to hide her real identity in his phone, but the messages were clearly romantic, discussing their future together, the life they'd have once. The situation was resolved. Then Simone found the bank statements. Trevor had opened accounts at 3 different banks, none of which she knew existed. The balances made her head spin. $200,000 in one account. $80,000 in another. $50,000 in the third. Money that should have been in their joint accounts, money from his bonuses and their tax returns, systematically moved into accounts with both his name and Chloe's. They'd been stealing from her for years. Simone's marketing brain kicked into gear. She needed to document everything, but she had to be smart about it. She couldn't email files to herself. Trevor might see. She couldn't print anything. He'd notice if paper was missing from the printer. She remembered the old smartphone in her dresser drawer. A phone from before her marriage that she'd kept for nostalgia. She found it, charged it, and realized it still worked even without a service plan. Could connect to Wi-Fi and take photos. For the next 3 hours, Simone photographed everything. Every email. Every bank statement. Every insurance document. Every text message she could access. She created a detailed digital trail of Trevor's crimes, storing it all on the old phone that he didn't know existed. Then she dug deeper. In Trevor's filing cabinet, she found a folder labeled Estate Planning. Inside were documents she'd never seen before. A will that left everything to him in case of her death. Power of attorney documents with her forged signature. Medical directives that gave Trevor complete control if she was ever incapacitated. He'd been planning this for years. Setting up a legal framework where he controlled everything, where her death would transfer smoothly into his wealth, where no one could question his claim to her assets. But there was something else in that folder. Something that made Simone's breath catch. A bank statement from an account at First National, dated 6 months after her grandmother's death 3 years ago. The account showed a deposit of $180,000, then multiple withdrawals until the balance reached zero. Her grandmother had left her money. Simone remembered the funeral, remembered her mother mentioning that Grandma Rose had wanted to take care of her grandchildren. But Trevor had said there was no inheritance, that it had all gone to estate taxes and funeral costs. He'd lied. He'd intercepted the inheritance, deposited it in his own account, and spent it. Probably on Chloe. probably funding their affair while telling Simone they needed to budget carefully, that money was tight, that she needed to spend less. The betrayal went so much deeper than she'd imagined. Simone photographed these documents too, her anger building with each click of the camera. She thought about her grandmother, a strong woman who'd worked 2 jobs to support her family, who'd saved carefully to leave something for her grandchildren. Trevor had stolen that gift. Had stolen Grandma Rose's love and care and turned it into expensive dinners with his mistress. By noon, Simone had documented everything she could find. But she knew it wasn't enough. She had evidence of financial fraud and forgery, but the murder plot existed only in text messages that could be deleted. She needed more. She needed proof that would hold up in court, that would protect her life and destroy his. She needed help. But who could she trust? Trevor had isolated her so completely. She hadn't spoken to her sister in over a year. Her friends had long since stopped reaching out. Her mother barely called anymore, the relationship strained by Trevor's constant manipulation. Simone sat in Trevor's office, surrounded by evidence of his crimes, and realized she was completely alone. No, not completely. She opened her old phone and searched for Patricia Monroe's office. Patricia was an attorney who'd spoken at a women's business group meeting 5 years ago, back when Simone still attended such things. Patricia specialized in helping women navigate difficult divorces and domestic situations. Simone remembered her card, her direct way of speaking, how she'd said, "If you ever need help, call me. Day or night." She kept that card. Somewhere in her desk, buried under years of random papers, that card existed. Simone found it in the back of an old planner. Patricia Monroe, attorney at law. Family law, domestic violence, financial abuse. The office number was still there. Simone stared at the card for a long moment. Calling this number would change everything. There would be no going back, no pretending, no more waiting. This was the moment where she either saved herself or accepted the fate Trevor had planned. She thought about Grandma Rose. About the strong, fierce woman who'd never let anyone push her around. About the inheritance meant to give Simone freedom that Trevor had stolen. She thought about her own dreams, buried under years of manipulation. The marketing agency she'd wanted to build. The life she'd imagined before Trevor convinced her to want less, be less, expect less. She thought about the texts on Trevor's phone. The stairs are better. One push. Head injury. Tragic accident. Simone picked up her old phone and dialed the number. It rang twice before a professional voice answered. "Monroe Legal Services, how may I help you?" "I need to speak with Patricia Monroe," Simone said, surprised by how steady her voice sounded. "It's an emergency. My husband is planning to kill me." Patricia Monroe agreed to meet Simone within the hour, but not at her office. "If your husband is monitoring you, we can't risk him seeing you enter a law office," Patricia explained over the phone. "Do you know the Riverside Cafe on Market Street? It's public, lots of witnesses, but we can talk privately in the back corner." Simone's hands shook as she drove there. She kept checking her rearview mirror, paranoid that Trevor had somehow found out, that he was following her. But the streets behind her remained clear. The cafe was exactly as Patricia described. Busy enough to provide cover, quiet enough for conversation. Simone ordered a coffee she didn't want and found a table in the back corner. Patricia arrived 10 minutes later. Simone recognized her immediately. Patricia was in her 50s, with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She wore a professional pantsuit and carried a leather briefcase. She looked like someone who fought battles and won. "Simone." Patricia sat down across from her without waiting for confirmation. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." So Simone did. She explained the phone discovery, the murder plot, the affair, the financial fraud, the forged signatures, the stolen inheritance. She showed Patricia the photos on her old phone, watching the lawyer's expression grow darker with each image. Patricia scrolled through the evidence in silence, her jaw tight. When she finally looked up, her eyes were blazing. "This is one of the worst cases I've seen," Patricia said flatly. "And I've seen some bad ones. Your husband isn't just planning to kill you. He's been systematically destroying your life for years, setting up the perfect conditions for your murder." Hearing it said out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. Simone felt tears building, but she refused to cry. "Not here. Not now. Can you help me?" she asked. "Yes," Patricia said without hesitation. "But you need to understand what we're dealing with. This isn't just a divorce case. This is attempted murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud, financial abuse, identity theft, and theft of inheritance. We're talking about criminal charges that could put your husband in prison for decades." "Good," Simone said. Patricia smiled grimly. That's the spirit. But we have to be extremely careful. If Trevor suspects you know anything, he'll either disappear or accelerate his plans. You said he's planning to act within 2 weeks. That's what the messages said. Then we work fast. First, I'm getting you a protection order, but we won't serve it until we have all our pieces in place. Second, we document everything. I'll hire a private investigator to track Trevor and Chloe, record their conversations, establish a pattern. Third, we get you financially secure. Can you access any money right now? Simone shook her head. He controls everything. I have a credit card, but he monitors it. We'll fix that. Do you have any assets in your name only? Anything from before the marriage? My car, I think. It was a gift from my parents before we got married. Good. That's something. What about family? Can anyone help you? Simone hesitated. I haven't talked to my sister in over a year. My mother and I barely speak. Trevor made sure of that. Classic isolation tactic, Patricia said. But here's what most abusers don't understand. Family usually forgives, especially when they learn the truth. Do you think your sister would help if she knew what was happening? Simone thought about Nicole. Her older sister, protective and fierce. They'd been close once before Trevor convinced Simone that Nicole was judgmental and toxic. But was she? Or had Trevor just needed Simone to believe that? I think she would, Simone admitted. Then we bring her in. You'll need support through this, and the more people who know what's happening, the safer you are. Abusers rely on silence and isolation. We're going to shatter both. Patricia pulled out a legal pad and started writing. Here's what happens next. You go home and act completely normal. Do not change anything about your behavior. Can you do that? Yes. I'll file protection orders and divorce papers, but we won't serve them yet. I'll also contact the police and the FBI. The insurance fraud crosses state lines, which makes it federal. We want law enforcement involved before he can destroy evidence. Won't that take time? Not as much as you'd think. You have solid evidence of conspiracy to commit murder. The police will take that seriously. But we need more. I'm putting a recording device in your purse. If Trevor or Chloe say anything incriminating around you, we'll have it on tape. Simone's heart raced. What if he finds it? He won't. It's the size of a button. Looks like part of the purse lining. But it picks up everything within 20 feet. Patricia leaned forward. Simone, I need you to understand something. The next few days will be the most dangerous of your life. Your husband is planning to murder you. We're gathering evidence to stop him, but until he's arrested, you're at risk. If anything feels wrong, if he acts suspicious, if you feel unsafe for even a second, you call 911 immediately. Do you understand? I understand. I also want you to establish an escape plan. Pack a bag with essentials and hide it somewhere he won't look. Keep your car keys accessible. Memorize my number and the number for the domestic violence hotline. If you need to run, you run. Your life is more important than evidence. They spent the next hour going over details. Patricia explained how the investigation would work, what the timeline looked like, what Simone's rights were. She gave Simone a burner phone with her number programmed in. Use this to contact me, never your regular phone, Patricia instructed. Keep it hidden. And Simone, you're incredibly brave. Most women don't discover the danger until it's too late. You have a chance to stop this, to save your life and make him pay for what he's done. But you have to stay strong. Can you do that? Simone thought about the alternative. Going home, pretending everything was fine, waiting for Trevor to push her down the stairs or cut her brake lines or poison her wine. Dying without fighting back, without making him answer for 8 years of lies and abuse. I can do that, she said. Patricia smiled. I believe you. Now go home. Act normal. And trust me to build the case that will destroy him. Simone drove home with the burner phone hidden in her glove compartment and Patricia's card memorized. For the first time in days, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. And she felt powerful. Trevor wanted to kill her for insurance money and a fresh start? He was about to learn that the woman he tried to erase was the biggest mistake of his life. 3 days after meeting Patricia, Simone sat in her lawyer's office staring at documents that made her physically ill. Patricia's investigator had worked fast. The files spread across the conference table told a story of systematic theft that went back to the week after Simone's grandmother died. Your grandmother left you $185,000, Patricia explained, pointing to the probate documents. The check was mailed to your home address. Trevor intercepted it, endorsed it with your forged signature, and deposited it into an account he'd opened in your name without your knowledge. Simone looked at the bank statements. The account was at First National Bank, opened 3 years ago. Her name was on it, but she'd never seen it before. The signature on the account opening documents looked like hers, but she'd never signed them. He's been doing this for years, Patricia continued. He opens accounts in your name, makes you legally liable, but keeps all the passwords and access. You have an account at 3 different banks that you don't know exist. He's moved money in and out of them, using your identity to avoid taxes and hide assets. That's identity theft, Simone said. Yes. It's also financial abuse and fraud. But it gets worse. Patricia pulled out another folder. Your inheritance wasn't the only money he stole. Remember those tax returns he always handled? He's been pocketing the refunds for 5 years. He set up direct deposit to an account you can't access. That's another $40,000 stolen from you. Simone felt numb. How much total? From what we can trace so far. Just over $300,000. That's money that legally belonged to you, either as inheritance or as marital assets. He moved it into accounts shared with Chloe Bennett, his mistress. They've been spending your money on vacations, jewelry, a condo in Miami that you don't know about. A condo in Miami. Simone thought about all the times Trevor had said they couldn't afford a vacation, couldn't splurge on anything nice for her. He'd been buying property with another woman using her stolen inheritance. Can we get it back? She asked. Most of it, yes. The courts will freeze those accounts once we file. And Simone, there's more good news. Your grandmother's will included a clause. If the inheritance was misappropriated, the estate had the right to recover it with penalties. You're entitled to not just the original amount, but damages. We're talking close to $500,000 once this is settled. $500,000. Money that should have given her freedom years ago. Money that could have let her leave Trevor, start her own business, build the life she'd dreamed of. Instead, he'd stolen it and used it to fund his affair and plan her murder. What about the life insurance? Simone asked. Patricia's expression darkened. That's the most damning evidence. Trevor increased your policy 3 times in 18 months. Each time he forged your signature. The insurance company has confirmed they never spoke to you directly, never verified your consent. That's insurance fraud, and combined with the text messages planning your death, it establishes clear intent. Intent to murder me. Yes. Patricia didn't soften it. The FBI is involved now. They're building a case for conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, wire fraud, and identity theft. Trevor and Chloe are both facing federal charges. But we need more evidence before they move. We need them on tape discussing the plan. Simone touched the small recording device hidden in her purse. I haven't been able to get anything yet. Trevor doesn't talk about it around me. He will. People like him get overconfident. He thinks you're clueless, that you'll never suspect. That arrogance will trip him up. Patricia leaned back in her chair. How are you holding up? Playing normal at home? It's the hardest thing I've ever done, Simone admitted. I make his dinner, smile when he comes home, pretend everything's fine. All while knowing he's planning to kill me. Sometimes I want to scream at him, to tell him I know everything. But I don't. That takes incredible strength. Most people couldn't do it. I keep thinking about what happens after. If we catch him, if he goes to prison, what's my life going to be like? Patricia smiled. Whatever you want it to be. You'll have your money back plus damages. You'll be free of him. You can rebuild relationships with your family, start your business, do anything you've been too afraid to try. The world opens up, Simone. That's what he took from you, the belief that you could have a big, bold, beautiful life. Once he's gone, you get that back. A big, bold, beautiful life. Simone had forgotten what that felt like. For so long, she'd made herself small, quiet, manageable. The woman Trevor wanted her to be. I called my sister yesterday, Simone said quietly. On the burner phone. How did that go? She cried. She said she'd been trying to reach me for months, but Trevor always said I was busy or didn't want to talk. She thought I'd cut her out of my life. When I told her the truth, she was furious. She's been calling Mom, telling her everything. They want to help. That's good. You'll need them. Nicole asked me something. She asked why I stayed so long. Why I let him control me like that. Simone's voice cracked. I didn't know how to answer. I'm educated. I had a career. I should have seen it happening. Patricia reached across the table and took Simone's hand. Abuse doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, calculated. He didn't wake up one day and announce he was going to control your life. He did it slowly, over years, in ways that seemed loving at first. The isolation felt like protection. The financial control seemed like him being responsible. By the time you realized what was happening, you were already trapped. That's not your fault. That's what abusers do. I just feel stupid. You're not stupid. You're human. And now you're fighting back, which makes you stronger than he ever expected. Patricia squeezed her hand. Your husband made one fatal mistake. He assumed you were weak. He thought he'd broken you so completely that you'd never fight back. He was wrong. Simone nodded, feeling the truth of it. Trevor had underestimated her. He saw the quiet, compliant woman he'd created and thought that was all she was. He didn't see the marketing coordinator with big dreams still buried underneath. He didn't see Grandma Rose's granddaughter with steel in her spine. He didn't see the woman who was about to destroy his entire life. What's next? Simone asked. We wait for him to slip. Keep the recorder on. Act normal. And trust that his arrogance will be his downfall. Patricia gathered the documents. In the meantime, I'm filing the divorce papers and asset freeze orders. The moment we arrest him, everything gets locked down. He won't be able to touch a penny. Every dollar he stole, every account he opened, all of it comes back to you. Simone stood to leave, then paused. Patricia? Thank you. For believing me. For helping me. That's my job. But Simone? You're the one doing the hard part. You're the one going back into that house every night, facing your would-be killer with a smile, gathering evidence that will save your life. That's courage most people can't imagine. Don't forget that. Simone drove home with those words echoing in her mind. Courage. She'd never thought of herself as brave. But maybe courage wasn't about feeling fearless. Maybe it was about being terrified and doing it anyway. Trevor's car was in the driveway when she got home. She took a deep breath, checked that the recorder was on, and walked inside. Hey honey, Trevor called from the living room. How was your day? Fine, Simone said, hanging her purse carefully on the hook by the door. Just ran some errands. How was work? Busy. But good news. I got a big bonus. We should celebrate. A bonus? Probably money he'd deposit into one of his secret accounts. Money he'd steal from their marriage to fund his life with Chloe. That's wonderful, Simone said, walking into the living room and kissing his cheek. The cheek of the man planning to murder her. She smiled. She laughed. She played the role perfectly. And she waited for him to hang himself. The break came on a Tuesday evening, exactly 8 days after Simone had checked Trevor's phone. She was in the kitchen making dinner when she heard his car pull into the driveway. But something was different. Another car pulled in behind him. Through the window, Simone saw Chloe stepping out of a silver sedan. Her heart hammered. Chloe had never come to their house before. This was Trevor's mistake, bringing his mistress to the home he shared with the wife he planned to kill. His arrogance was showing. Simone's hand went to her purse on the counter, making sure the recording device was positioned correctly. Then she took a breath and continued chopping vegetables as if nothing was wrong. Trevor walked in with Chloe behind him. Simone, this is my colleague Chloe from work, Trevor said casually. We have a project deadline tomorrow. She's going to work here tonight since our office internet is down. Simone looked at Chloe for the first time. She was younger than Simone expected, maybe 28, with straight blonde hair and too much makeup. She wore a tight dress completely inappropriate for a work meeting. This was the woman who'd been helping plan her murder. Nice to meet you, Simone said with a smile she didn't feel. Chloe barely glanced at her. Yeah, you too. The dismissiveness was breathtaking. This woman was sleeping with her husband, spending her stolen money, planning her death, and couldn't even pretend to be polite. I'll bring you both some coffee, Simone offered. That'd be great, honey, Trevor said. We'll be in my office. They disappeared down the hall. Simone made coffee with shaking hands, then carried the tray to Trevor's office. The door was slightly open. She could hear them talking. Can't believe you brought me here, Chloe was saying. What if she suspects something? She doesn't suspect anything. Look at her. She's making us coffee like a good little housewife. She's clueless. Simone set the tray down outside the door, her jaw clenched. The recorder in her purse was picking up every word. When are you going to do it? Chloe asked. I'm tired of waiting. I want to be with you for real. Soon. I told you. This weekend. The basement stairs plan. You're sure it'll work? Positive. I've been giving her wine every night, making her unsteady. Everyone knows she's clumsy. Saturday night, I'll ask her to get something from the basement storage. One push at the top of the stairs. Head injury. I'll call 911, play the devastated husband. It'll be ruled an accident. Simone's blood turned to ice. Saturday. 3 days away. He'd set a specific date for her murder. And the insurance pays out how long after? Chloe asked. 30 days for accidental death. $2 million split between us. Then we're gone. I already have the tickets to Barbados. We leave the country 2 weeks after the funeral, let things settle, then we're free. What about her family? Won't they be at the funeral? Trevor laughed. What family? I made sure she barely talks to them anymore. Her sister hasn't called in months. Her mother's basically given up. When Simone dies, maybe 10 people will show up to her funeral, and none of them will question anything. I've been setting this up perfectly for years. Simone pressed her hand against the wall to steady herself. The cruelty in his voice was staggering. He wasn't just planning to kill her. He was proud of how thoroughly he'd isolated her first. You're brilliant, Chloe said. I can't wait to start our life together. Me too, baby. No more sneaking around. No more pretending with her. Just you and me and $2 million. They kissed. Simone could hear it, the wet sound of their affair, happening 10 feet from where she stood in the home they shared. She picked up the coffee tray and knocked on the door. Coffee's here, she called out cheerfully. Thanks, honey, Trevor said. Just leave it outside. We're in the middle of something. Of course. Simone walked back to the kitchen on autopilot. She'd gotten it. The full confession. Trevor's exact plan, the timeline, the motive, everything. Was all on tape. She pulled out the burner phone with shaking hands and texted Patricia. I have it. Full confession. He's planning to kill me Saturday night. Patricia's response came immediately. Get out of the house now. Pack a bag. Go to your sister's. I'm calling the FBI. But Simone hesitated. If she left now, Trevor might suspect. He might run. Or worse, he might come after her before the police could arrest him. She texted back. If I leave, he'll know. I'll stay until they arrest him. How long? Tomorrow morning. FBI is moving fast with murder conspiracy. They'll arrest both of them at his office. Can you make it one more night? One more night. Simone looked down the hall toward Trevor's office, where he was kissing the woman he'd chosen over her, planning her death like it was a business deal. She'd survived 8 years of his manipulation. She could survive one more night. Yes, she texted. I can do it. That evening was surreal. Chloe left around 9, giving Trevor a kiss at the door that she didn't bother to hide from Simone. Trevor watched Simone's reaction carefully, probably expecting hurt or anger. Instead, Simone just smiled and said she was going to bed early. I'm exhausted, she explained. Think I'm coming down with something. You should rest, Trevor said, his voice full of false concern. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Like he cared. Like he wasn't planning to murder her in 3 days. Simone went to bed but didn't sleep. She lay in the darkness listening to Trevor move around downstairs, probably texting Chloe, probably finalizing their plans. The man who'd promised to love and cherish her was in the same house planning her death. Around midnight, Trevor came to bed. He lay down beside her and Simone felt his weight shift the mattress. She kept her breathing steady, pretending to be asleep. Just a few more days, she heard him whisper. Then this is all over. Simone didn't move. Didn't respond. Just kept her eyes closed and waited for morning. For justice. For freedom. At 6 a.m., her burner phone vibrated silently under her pillow. A text from Patricia. FBI is moving in 1 hour. Stay safe. Simone got up quietly and went to the bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. The same face Trevor had looked at last night while planning her murder. The same woman he'd underestimated for 8 years. In 1 hour, everything would change. In 1 hour, Trevor would learn what happened when you tried to destroy someone who was stronger than you ever imagined. Simone smiled at her reflection. Game over, Trevor. You lose. The FBI arrested Trevor at 9:15 a.m. in his office parking lot. Simone wasn't there to see it, but Patricia called her immediately afterward with every detail. Trevor had been walking to his car when 6 federal agents surrounded him. They'd read him his rights while his co-workers watched through office windows. Conspiracy to commit murder. Insurance fraud. Identity theft. Wire fraud. The list went on. Chloe was arrested at the same time at her apartment. She tried to run when she saw the agents at her door, which Patricia said only made her look more guilty. They're both in federal custody, Patricia told Simone over the phone. No bail for murder conspiracy. They won't be getting out anytime soon. Simone sat in her car in a grocery store parking lot, gripping the steering wheel. She'd left the house that morning as if going shopping, not knowing if she'd ever go back. Now Trevor was arrested and she was free. Free. The word didn't feel real yet. What do I do now? Simone asked. You go to your sister's house like we planned. I'm filing the divorce papers and restraining orders within the hour. By tonight, you'll have legal protection and Trevor will have no way to contact you or access any accounts. Your safety is guaranteed. What about the house? My things? We'll arrange for you to get your belongings with police escort. But Simone, you can't go back there alone. Not until this is completely settled. Do you understand? I understand. Good. Now go to Nicole's. Your family is waiting. Simone hung up and drove to her sister's house across town. Nicole lived in a modest ranch-style home with her husband and 2 kids. Simone hadn't been there in over a year, another casualty of Trevor's isolation campaign. When she pulled into the driveway, Nicole ran out before Simone could even turn off the car. Oh my God, Nicole said, pulling Simone into a fierce hug. I was so worried. Are you okay? Did they arrest him? They arrested him, Simone confirmed, and suddenly she was crying. All the fear and stress of the past week came pouring out. She sobbed in her sister's arms in the driveway while neighbors watched curiously. Nicole held her tight. You're safe now. You're safe. Come inside. Inside, Simone met her brother-in-law James and her niece and nephew, who she barely recognized. They'd grown so much in a year. The realization of how much time she'd lost hit her hard. Mom's on her way, Nicole said. She's driving down from Portland. She'll be here by tonight. She doesn't have to do that. Are you kidding? Her daughter almost got murdered. She's been losing her mind since I told her. Nicole made tea and they sat at the kitchen table. Simone, I need to say something. I'm sorry I didn't push harder. I knew something was wrong with Trevor. The way he spoke to you, the way he controlled things. But I didn't want to overstep. I should have fought harder to stay in your life. This isn't your fault. Trevor was manipulating both of us. He made me think you were the problem. He's good at that, isn't he? Making women doubt themselves. Nicole's jaw tightened. But he messed with the wrong family. Patricia called me this morning. She said you're getting everything back. The money he stole, the house, everything. I don't want the house. Too many bad memories. Then sell it. Take the money and start over. Do all the things Trevor never let you do. Over the next few hours, Patricia sent updates. The FBI had searched Trevor and Chloe's properties, finding more evidence. They'd seized bank accounts, frozen assets, and recovered most of the stolen money. The case against them was airtight. That evening, Simone's mother arrived. Margaret Jackson was a strong woman who'd raised 2 daughters alone after their father died. She burst into tears when she saw Simone. My baby, she said, holding Simone's face in her hands. What did that monster do to you? It's over now, Mom. I'm okay. You're not okay. But you will be. We'll make sure of it. They sat together that night, the 3 women of the Jackson family, and Simone told them everything. About the phone discovery, the murder plot, the years of financial abuse, the stolen inheritance. Her mother and sister listened with growing horror and rage. Grandma Rose's money, Margaret said quietly. She wanted you to have freedom. She'd be proud of how you fought back. I keep thinking about what Patricia said. That I can do anything now. But I don't even know where to start. Nicole leaned forward. Start with something small. What's one thing you've wanted to do that Trevor never let you? Simone thought about it. There were so many things. I wanted to go back to school. Get my MBA. Start my own marketing agency. So do that. It's expensive. It takes time. You have money now. And you have time. You have your whole life ahead of you. Nicole squeezed her hand. Simone, you spent 8 years making yourself small for a man who wanted you dead. Don't spend another minute doing that. Be big. Be bold. Take up space. Make him regret ever underestimating you. That night, sleeping in Nicole's guest room, Simone made a list. All the things she dreamed about before Trevor convinced her to dream smaller. The MBA. The agency. Reconnecting with old friends. Traveling. Building a life that was entirely hers. At the top of the list, she wrote, Remember who I was before. Become who I'm meant to be. The next morning, Patricia called with news. Trevor and Chloe are both talking, she said. Trying to blame each other. Trevor says it was Chloe's idea. Chloe says Trevor manipulated her. The FBI isn't buying either story. They're both facing 25 years to life. Good, Simone said. There's something else. The insurance company wants to talk to you. They're grateful you exposed the fraud before they paid out. They're offering you a settlement for the trauma and their failure to verify the policy increases properly. How much? $250,000. Simone sat down hard. Between the recovered inheritance with damages, the assets from the divorce, and now this settlement, she was looking at close to $1 million. Money that would have gone to Trevor and Chloe if they'd succeeded in killing her. Take it, Patricia advised. You've earned it. Over the following weeks, Simone's life transformed. She worked with a therapist to process the trauma and abuse. She reconnected with old friends, explaining where she'd been, why she'd disappeared. Most were understanding. Some relationships were too damaged to repair, but she made peace with that. She sold the house and bought a small condo near her sister. She enrolled in an online MBA program. She started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter, helping other women escape situations like hers. And slowly, carefully, Simone Jackson rebuilt herself. Not into the woman Trevor had tried to create. Not even into the woman she'd been before him. Into someone entirely new. Someone stronger. Someone who'd looked death in the face and chosen to live instead. Someone free. 8 months after Trevor's arrest, Simone sat in a federal courtroom watching her ex-husband face justice. The trial had been postponed twice, but finally the day arrived. Trevor sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, looking nothing like the confident man who'd controlled her life for 8 years. He looked smaller somehow. Defeated. Chloe sat at a separate table with her own lawyer. The two defendants weren't allowed to communicate. The FBI had evidence they'd tried to coordinate their stories from jail, which only made their cases worse. Patricia sat beside Simone in the gallery. "Are you ready for this?" she asked quietly. "I'm ready." The prosecution presented its case methodically. They played the recording from Trevor's office where he'd outlined the entire murder plan to Chloe. They showed the forged insurance documents, the text messages, the bank records proving systematic theft. Then they called Simone to testify. Walking to the witness stand felt surreal. Trevor watched her with an expression she couldn't read. Anger? Regret? Fear? She didn't care anymore what he felt. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Agent Rodriguez, led Simone through her testimony. She described the phone discovery, the isolation, the financial abuse, the moment she realized her husband was planning to murder her. "How did you feel when you read those messages?" Agent Rodriguez asked. "Terrified," Simone answered honestly. "But also angry. This man had taken 8 years of my life. He'd stolen my money, isolated me from my family, and convinced me I was weak. And I realized he was wrong. I wasn't weak. I was strong enough to fight back." The defense attorney tried to shake her testimony, suggesting she'd misunderstood Trevor's intentions, that the messages were taken out of context. But Simone had practiced with Patricia. She stayed calm, stuck to facts, didn't let them rattle her. "Miss Jackson, isn't it true that you and your husband had marital problems?" the defense attorney asked. "Yes. He was planning to kill me." "I'd say that's a problem." Even the judge smiled at that. Then the prosecution called other witnesses. The insurance agent who confirmed Trevor had forged Simone's signature 3 times. The bank manager who testified about the secret accounts. The IT specialist who'd recovered deleted messages from Trevor's phone showing months of planning. But the most devastating witness was someone Simone hadn't expected. A woman named Helen Carter took the stand. She was in her 50s, well-dressed, composed. The prosecutor introduced her as Trevor's first wife. Simone hadn't known Trevor was married before. He'd said she was his first serious relationship. Another lie. Helen testified that Trevor had done the same thing to her 15 years ago. The isolation. The financial control. The life insurance increases with forged signatures. But Helen had discovered it and divorced him before he could act. "I tried to warn the police," Helen said. "I told them he was dangerous. But without proof of an actual attempt on my life, they couldn't do anything. I'm just grateful Ms. Jackson discovered his plan in time." The revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Trevor wasn't just an abusive husband. He was a serial predator who'd attempted this before. When Helen finished testifying, she looked directly at Simone. "Stay strong," she mouthed. Simone nodded, feeling a strange kinship with this woman she'd never met. They were survivors of the same monster. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for just 4 hours before returning their verdict. Guilty on all counts for Trevor. Guilty on all counts for Chloe. Simone watched Trevor's face as the verdicts were read. He showed no emotion, just stared straight ahead as his life ended. Chloe sobbed at her table, but Simone felt no sympathy. She'd helped plan murder. She'd spent stolen money. She'd earned every consequence coming her way. At sentencing 3 weeks later, Simone gave a victim impact statement. Trevor Harrison didn't just plan to kill me, she told the judge. He spent 8 years killing who I was piece by piece. He isolated me from everyone who loved me. He stole my confidence, my ambition, my sense of self. He made me believe I was weak and worthless. But he was wrong. She looked directly at Trevor. I survived you. I'm rebuilding everything you tried to destroy. I'm getting my MBA. I'm starting my own business. I'm helping other women escape men like you. You wanted me dead and forgotten. Instead, I'm more alive than I've ever been. And you're going to prison for the rest of your life. The judge sentenced Trevor to 35 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. Chloe got 22 years. Neither would be eligible for release until they were elderly. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. The case had made national news. A husband and mistress conspiring to murder a wife for insurance money, stopped by the wife's discovery and courage. It was the kind of story that resonated. Simone gave a brief statement. I'm here today not as a victim but as a survivor. Trevor Harrison tried to erase me, but I'm still here. To any woman in an abusive relationship, please know, you are stronger than you think. You deserve better. And there are people who will help you fight back. Patricia stood beside her, fielding questions from reporters about the legal aspects of the case. But Simone noticed someone else in the crowd. Helen Carter, Trevor's first wife, waiting off to the side. Simone walked over to her. Thank you for testifying. Thank you for stopping him, Helen replied. I've carried guilt for 15 years, wondering if he'd do it again. If someone would die because I didn't push harder to expose him. But you did it. You saved yourself and probably saved others too. They exchanged contact information, two women bound by survival, and Simone realized this was part of her healing. Finding others who understood. Building connections instead of isolation. That night, Simone's family threw a celebration dinner. Her mother, sister, brother-in-law, niece and nephew, and several friends she'd reconnected with. They toasted to justice, to freedom, to new beginnings. To Simone, Nicole raised her glass. The strongest woman I know. To Grandma Rose, Simone added, who taught us to never give up. As they ate and laughed, Simone felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. Not happiness dependent on someone else's approval. Not happiness that could be taken away by a man's manipulation. Happiness that belonged entirely to her. The trial was over. Trevor was in prison. The nightmare had ended. And Simone's real life could finally begin. 1 year after the trial, Simone stood in front of a small office space in downtown, holding a key that represented everything she'd fought for. The sign above the door read, Phoenix Rising Marketing Agency. Patricia stood beside her, smiling. Phoenix. Rising from the ashes. I love it. Seemed appropriate, Simone said, unlocking the door. The office was modest. 2 rooms, basic furniture, a desk with a computer. But it was hers. Built with her recovered money, her hard work, her dreams that Trevor had tried to kill. She'd spent the past year preparing for this moment. She'd completed the first year of her MBA program with a 4.0 GPA. She'd taken marketing freelance projects to rebuild her portfolio. She'd networked relentlessly, reconnecting with old colleagues and making new contacts. And she'd volunteered 20 hours a week at the domestic violence shelter, using her experience to help other women escape abusive situations. I have my first client meeting tomorrow, Simone said, running her hand over the desk. A small nonprofit needs help with their social media strategy. You're going to be amazing. I'm terrified. Good. That means you care. Patricia squeezed her shoulder. You've rebuilt your entire life in a year, Simone. You went from a woman whose husband was planning to murder her to a business owner with an MBA in progress. You're unstoppable. The marketing agency started small, but it grew. Simone specialized in helping nonprofits and small businesses, particularly those run by women. Her prices were fair, her work was excellent, and word spread quickly. Within 6 months, she had 15 regular clients and had hired her first employee. A young graduate named Taylor who reminded Simone of herself before Trevor, full of ambition and ideas. I want this to be different, Simone told Taylor on her first day. I want us to build something where people feel valued, where creativity is encouraged, where no one feels controlled or diminished. Can we do that? Absolutely, Taylor said. The agency became Simone's passion project. But it wasn't her only focus. She'd also started speaking publicly about financial abuse and domestic violence. Her story had resonated with so many people, and organizations began inviting her to share her experience. The first time she spoke to a room of 200 women at a survivors conference, Simone's hands shook. But then she saw their faces. Women who understood. Women who'd lived similar nightmares. Women who needed to hear that survival was possible. "I'm not a therapist or a lawyer," Simone began. "I'm just someone who almost died and chose to live instead. Who almost stayed silent and chose to speak instead. Who almost gave up and chose to fight instead. And I'm here to tell you that you can make those choices too." She talked about the warning signs she'd missed. The isolation. The financial control. The way Trevor had slowly made her doubt herself. She talked about the phone discovery and the decision to gather evidence rather than confront him immediately. "The best revenge isn't destroying the person who hurt you," she explained. "It's building a life so amazing that they regret ever doubting your strength." After the speech, women lined up to talk to her. To share their stories. To ask for advice. Simone realized this was her purpose. Not just surviving Trevor but helping others survive their own battles. She started a blog called Phoenix Rising, where she shared practical advice about recognizing abuse, gathering evidence, finding resources, and rebuilding after leaving. The blog went viral. Within months, she had 50,000 followers. Publishers reached out about writing a book. Simone was hesitant at first, but Patricia encouraged her. "Your story could help millions of women," Patricia said. "Think about it." So Simone thought about it. And then she wrote the book. It took 8 months of late nights and difficult memories, but she finished it. From Victim to Victor: How I Survived My Husband's Murder Plot and Rebuilt My Life, hit bookstores 18 months after Trevor's conviction. It became a bestseller within weeks. Simone did book tours, appeared on talk shows, gave interviews to magazines. She became the face of financial abuse awareness and domestic violence survival. People recognized her on the street. But through it all, she stayed grounded. She continued running her marketing agency. She finished her MBA. She maintained relationships with her family, having dinner with Nicole every Sunday and calling her mother daily. She also reconnected with old friends. Rachel, her former roommate, had moved to the same city and they'd become close again. "I'm so proud of you," Rachel said over coffee one afternoon. "You've turned your worst experience into something powerful." "Trevor wanted me dead and forgotten," Simone replied. "Instead, I'm more alive and visible than ever. That feels like the ultimate victory." The nonprofit Simone had started, Rise Again Foundation, provided grants and resources to women leaving abusive relationships. They helped with legal fees, security deposits for new apartments, job training, and therapy costs. In the first year, they'd helped 200 women escape dangerous situations. Simone funded it partially from her book sales and speaking fees, but also through fundraising events. She'd become skilled at asking for money for a cause she believed in. At a gala event for the foundation, Simone stood on stage looking out at 500 people who'd paid to support her cause. The ballroom was elegant, the donations were generous, and every person there believed in what she was building. 3 years ago, I was a woman with no voice, no money, no hope, Simone told the crowd. My husband had convinced me I was worthless. He'd stolen my inheritance, isolated me from my family, and was planning to murder me for insurance money. If you'd told that woman she'd be standing here today running a successful business, leading a nonprofit, speaking to rooms full of people about survival and strength, she wouldn't have believed you. She paused, letting the weight of it sink in. But here I am. Not because I'm special or uniquely strong, but because I made a choice. When I discovered my husband's plan, I could have given up. I could have confronted him and died. I could have run and hidden. Instead, I chose to gather evidence, work with brilliant people like my attorney Patricia Monroe, and fight back strategically. And that choice changed everything. The applause was thunderous. After the gala, Simone sat in her car for a moment before driving home. She thought about the woman she'd been. The scared, isolated, controlled woman reading murder plans on her husband's phone. That woman had been terrified but brave. Vulnerable but fierce. She'd saved her own life. And in doing so, she discovered that she was capable of so much more than Trevor had ever let her believe. Simone started the car and drove to her condo. It was small but perfect, decorated exactly how she wanted. No one controlled what she bought or where she put it. No one criticized her choices or made her feel guilty for taking up space. She was 35 years old, single, successful, happy, and she was ready for whatever came next. 2 years after Trevor's conviction, Simone sat in a coffee shop working on her laptop when someone approached her table. "Excuse me, are you Simone Jackson?" The author. Simone looked up to see a man about her age, handsome in a casual way, holding her book. "I am. Would you like me to sign it?" "If you don't mind. Your book helped my sister." She was in a bad situation, and reading about your experience gave her courage to leave. She's safe now, rebuilding her life. I'm so glad, Simone said sincerely, signing the book. What's her name? Melissa. She's doing great. Started her own business actually, inspired by you. They chatted for a few minutes. The man's name was Gabriel. He was an architect who'd moved to the city 6 months ago. He was kind, respectful, and genuinely interested in Simone's work without being intrusive. Would you maybe want to get coffee sometime? Gabriel asked. I mean, we're already at a coffee shop, but you know what I mean. Simone hesitated. She hadn't dated since the divorce. Hadn't wanted to. The thought of trusting someone again felt impossible. But Gabriel's smile was warm, his eyes were honest, and Simone realized she didn't want Trevor to take this from her too. The ability to connect with someone. The possibility of romance. Sure, she said. I'd like that. They exchanged numbers. No pressure. No expectations. Just the possibility of something new. Over the following months, Simone and Gabriel got to know each other slowly. Coffee dates turned into dinners. Dinners turned into weekend hikes. He never pushed, never demanded, never tried to control. He respected her boundaries and celebrated her independence. I run my own business, Simone told him early on. I have a demanding schedule. I speak at events, write, run a nonprofit. I'm not looking for someone to take care of me or complete me. I'm already whole. Good, Gabriel replied. I'm not looking for someone to fix or save. I'm looking for a partner. An equal. Someone who has their own life and wants to share it. It was exactly what Simone needed to hear. Their relationship developed naturally. Gabriel met her family and fit right in, joking with Nicole's kids and charming her mother. He came to her speaking events and sat in the audience beaming with pride. He celebrated her successes without making them about him. You're not like Trevor, Simone said one evening as they walked through the park. I should hope not. He tried to murder you. I mean beyond that. You don't try to diminish me. You don't get threatened by my success. You actually seem happy when good things happen for me. Gabriel stopped walking and turned to face her. Simone, your strength is one of the things I love most about you. Why would I want to diminish that? You're amazing. You built an empire from nothing. You help people. You turn trauma into purpose. I'm honored to be with you, not intimidated by you. Love. He'd said love. It was the first time either of them had used that word. I love you too, Simone said, surprised by how easy it felt to say. But love didn't mean losing herself. Simone had learned that lesson too well. She kept her independence, her business, her purpose. Gabriel had his own architecture firm, his own dreams, his own life. They chose to build something together without either of them sacrificing who they were. On the 3-year anniversary of Trevor's arrest, Simone stood in front of a crowd of 500 women at a conference center. Her keynote speech about financial abuse and recovery was the main event. She looked out at the audience and saw faces of all ages, races, backgrounds. Women who'd survived. Women who were still fighting. Women who needed hope. 3 years ago today, my ex-husband was arrested for conspiracy to commit my murder, Simone began. He's now serving 35 years in federal prison. His mistress got 22 years. They tried to kill me for $2 million in insurance money. They failed. She clicked to the next slide, showing her business logo. Instead, I built this. A marketing agency that employs 12 people and serves over 60 clients. I created a nonprofit that's helped 400 women escape abusive situations. I wrote a best-selling book. I speak to audiences across the country. I finished my MBA with honors. I reconnected with my family. I found love again with a man who respects me as an equal. Another slide, this time showing the shelter she volunteered at. And I spend 20 hours a week helping women like you discover their strength. Because here's what my ex-husband didn't understand. Trying to destroy me only revealed how unbreakable I actually was. The applause started, but Simone raised her hand for quiet. She had more to say. I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this because someone in this room needs to hear it. Maybe you're in an abusive relationship right now. Maybe your partner controls your money. Maybe you feel isolated from family and friends. Maybe you've been told you're worthless, stupid, weak. Maybe you believe it. Simone's voice grew stronger. But you're not. You're not weak. You're not worthless. You're surviving right now, and survival takes incredible strength. And when you're ready, when the moment comes, you can do more than survive. You can escape. You can rebuild. You can thrive. She shared practical advice. How to document abuse. Where to find resources. How to create safety plans. the legal process for protective orders, financial strategies for rebuilding. Everything she'd learned from her own experience and from helping hundreds of other women. After the speech, women lined up to talk to her. Some shared their stories. Some asked for advice. Some just wanted to say thank you. One woman, probably in her 20s, approached with tears in her eyes. I checked my boyfriend's phone last week. I found messages planning to take out a life insurance policy on me. Your story gave me the courage to leave. I'm staying with my sister now. I'm scared, but I'm alive. Simone hugged her. Stay scared. Stay alive. And know that one day you'll be standing where I am, helping someone else. That evening, Simone had dinner with Gabriel, her mother, and Nicole's family. They celebrated at a nice restaurant, toasting to 3 years of freedom, 3 years of growth, 3 years of life that Trevor had tried to steal. I'm so proud of you, baby, her mother said. You took the worst thing that ever happened and turned it into purpose. Grandma Rose would be proud too, Nicole added. You used her gift exactly how she wanted. To build freedom. Later, as Gabriel drove Simone home, she looked out at the city lights and felt profound gratitude. Not gratitude for what she'd survived, but gratitude for what she'd become. What are you thinking about? Gabriel asked. About how different my life is now. 3 years ago I was planning my own survival. Now I'm planning which conference to speak at next, which client to take on, how to expand the nonprofit. I'm planning a future, not an escape. You've earned that future. I have, Simone agreed. And she meant it. No false modesty. No diminishing her accomplishments. She'd fought for this life and she owned it completely. When they reached her condo, Gabriel walked her to the door but didn't invite himself in. Respectful as always. I'll see you this weekend? He asked. Absolutely. I'm thinking we try that new hiking trail you mentioned. He kissed her goodnight, sweet and gentle, then left. Simone watched him drive away, smiling. She'd found someone who added to her life without trying to control it. Who celebrated her strength instead of fearing it. Who understood that she didn't need rescuing because she'd already saved herself. Inside her condo, Simone made tea and sat on her couch surrounded by the life she'd built. Framed photos of her family. Her MBA diploma on the wall. A shelf full of copies of her book in different languages. Awards from nonprofits she'd helped. Testimonials from clients. Evidence of a life fully lived. Her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize. Simone almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Is this Simone Jackson? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who's calling? My name is Jennifer. I just finished your book. I'm in a situation like you were. My husband controls everything. I think he's planning something bad. I'm scared, but I don't know what to do. Simone sat up straighter. Jennifer, the first thing you need to know is that you're already doing something. You read my book. You made this call. Those are brave acts. Now let me help you figure out the next steps. They talked for 2 hours. Simone gave Jennifer Patricia's contact information, shared resources for domestic violence support, explained how to document evidence safely. She listened to Jennifer's story and validated her fears while offering hope. You're going to survive this, Simone promised. And one day you're going to help someone else survive too. That's how we break the cycle. After the call ended, Simone sat in the quiet of her condo and thought about all the Jennifers out there. All the women trapped by men who underestimated their strength. All the survivors waiting to discover their power. Trevor had wanted to kill her and erase her. Instead, she'd become a voice for thousands. That was the ultimate revenge. Not destruction but creation. Building something so meaningful from pain that the pain itself became worthwhile. Simone opened her laptop and started writing. She had a blog post to finish about financial independence. A speaking proposal to review. A grant application for the nonprofit to complete. She had work to do. Purpose to fulfill. Lives to change. She had everything Trevor tried to take and so much more he couldn't even imagine. And as she typed, Simone Jackson smiled. Because she wasn't just surviving anymore. She was thriving. And nothing, no one would ever take that away from her again.